Sam Ovens, Alex Hormozi, and Nick Saraev, the current Skool goat who makes $330,000 per month with his two school groups, just dropped an absolute masterclass on how to grow an online coaching business in 2025. Today, I personally allocate the first 5 hours of my day to watching, analyzing, and breaking down all the key takeaways from his presentation, which was a 2-hour-long presentation, full of absolute gems. And the reasons why I did so is because I wanted to help my peak business mentees leverage all the key lessons from this particular masterclass, this particular video, in a more concise and time-efficient manner. And therefore, of course, think about how they can apply that to their own fitness and health coaching businesses as existing and aspiring online fitness and health coaches. For a little bit of context, for those who don't know who I am, my name is Billy Harris. I've been operating Peak Health Systems now for the last 8 years of my life. And it's a business through which I've now helped over 700 entrepreneurs doing 6 to 9 figures per year of their business optimize their health. This includes the likes of Iman Gadzi, who you can see on screen here, who I worked with in person for 3 years whilst he's based in central London. Ryan Clogg, who's done over 75 million in sales with his online coaching business. Cole Gordon, another 8-figure entrepreneur. Bastian Slott, another 8-figure entrepreneur. Tyler Newman, a 7-figure business and property entrepreneur based in London. Marcus Rossetti, a multiple 7-figure entrepreneur based in South America. Clients who I refer to as being private geniuses. This individual, as you can see, running a software business, did 15 million in their month of launch, which is an unbelievable thing to achieve. And of course, many other successful entrepreneurs in the business and online space, e-commerce, agency, education spaces, trading, etc. For a little bit of context, I used to be a personal trainer, slaving away in a gym in a totally sleep-deprived state from the age of 18 until I was at the age of 20. I was working from 6 a.m. till 9 p.m. every single day. I loved my work, but I was extremely tired by it and couldn't see much of a lifespan in it, truthfully, and therefore wanted to build an online business, and have done so successfully to the extent where I now run a 7-figure health and performance coaching business. Now, I want to show you guys the proof in the pudding because many people make claims like this. As you guys can see on screen here, these are my client invoices. I now charge £15,000 for the first 12 weeks of my one-to-one coaching service for Peak Health Systems, and my average LTV per client is now £25,000. Here's £10,000 invoice being paid. As you guys can see here, another spend of £9,000 from the same client, and therefore his LTV currently is actually about £21,000. £10,000 invoice being paid here from a client that I actually worked with in Gymbox also, who I now work with online, which is very cool. Another client here, this is a spend of £17,499 from that client specifically. Another client here, £16,449. Another client here, a spend of £10,000, as you can see on screen. And then also another client here with an LTV of £23,200 also. There you go. The proof is in the pudding. You know who you're listening to now. Okay, let's dive into the key observations and lessons from this particular masterclass. It was an unbelievable video, and I encourage all of you guys to watch it when you can do so, and you have the time to do so. But for now, I want to break down the key observations that I made from it in terms of how I'm going to be applying this to my own fitness and health coaching business online, and how I'm encouraging my mentees to do the same thing also. So first observation, the industry has shifted hard. And this was a key note that Alex made at the start of this masterclass specifically. Launches, VSLs, and old school direct response aren't converting like they used to. So when I first entered the space in 2018, the most popular figure in the space was Sam Ovens, who facilitated tremendous growth with consultant.com, his coaching and education business, primarily via the vehicle of cold pay traffic, directing traffic to either a VSL or a webinar, depending on how much he was charging for his products. So his low ticket products, they were converted via webinar, and his high ticket products, which of course were multiple thousands, he'd convert via VSL cool funnel. This no longer converts as effectively as it used to do so back in those times. And the reason being is very straightforward. People no longer trust big claims from cold ads. Hormozi saw this personally 5 years ago and pivoted early. And of course, the market became overly populated by individuals saying or promising the world to prospects of theirs, whether it be a make money offer, a fitness offer, a relationships offer, any offer. They're promising the world to these individuals and then not facilitating on it. And also they were converting primarily via cold traffic, which in itself is a slightly bizarre thing to be considering or thinking about. And again, I've actually expanded upon this in more detail in my notes here, which I'll come back to in a second. But essentially what was happening was individuals being targeted via cold ads and essentially not being nurtured or being provided upfront value, yet we're converting and spending significant amounts of money, even to the extent it was their life savings, on education products and coaching. Alex had skepticism that would last long term, and therefore he started posting content to further nurture and provide extreme value to his prospects 5 years ago. And that's the reason why he then blew up on the scene and started to upload an abundance of content, is because he perceived there to be a significant issue with the premise of your primary acquisition channel being cold traffic, and therefore saw more utility in the use of organic as being a primary nurturing mechanism in terms of providing value upfront to a prospect or potential customer of yours, and then leveraging direct response tactics like the use of cold ads or retargeting ads to essentially reignite interest from a prospect and reintegrate them into your content ecosystem. Okay, let's expand upon this further. Too many people promised the world, didn't deliver, and now consumers assume the worst. And this applies to any space, the fitness space, health space, make money space, relationships, any product online. And therefore, as a byproduct of this, operators in this space, myself included, because I still very much run and scale my health and performance coaching business and help others to do the same as well in my mentorship, we're now starting at -10 when acquiring attention. And what I mean by that is -10 from a trust perspective. And I expanded upon that here. So the education space itself is a bad brand, meaning you as business owners trying to acquire customers start at -10 when you come in, because all potential customers assume you suck and have no credibility, because that is the case 9 out of 10 times. You must become the exception, the 1 out of 10 who is credible, authentic, actually delivers and provides value before asking for anything in return. Direct response now only works if you built value and trust in advance. And we're seeing this being adopted by the space as a whole. Hence, in many markets, particularly the make money markets, the collapse of individuals who were extremely successful previously and were doing multiple 7 figures per year with cold traffic funnels. We've seen the collapse of their businesses because they're too dependent on this, and they were no longer credible. They were inauthentic in their content approach in terms of their paid acquisition specifically, and they actually didn't deliver a significant product of any value and utility. And therefore, of course, they're out of business essentially. Creating content, building a brand, providing value ahead of time is key and enables the direct stuff to work under the context of having already provided value. If you do stuff for people first, / provide value, then ask them to respond, hence the term direct response marketing itself, they will respond positively. In order for direct response to work, you need to provide value to an audience in advance. So I remember in the space specifically from 2020 onwards, we saw a lot of CTAs which read similar to, I have 5 spaces for this product. If you're interested, drop me a DM. Or only 5 spaces left. If you're interested, drop me a DM or respond to this CTA, right? We saw them being adopted significantly. They no longer exist in the space. Those CTAs no longer apply particularly well. And if they are utilized, they're utilized by individuals who have an extreme abundance of organic content they've uploaded and therefore provision of significant amounts of value to prospects and potential recipients of their offer. In order to actually then leverage direct response as a conversion mechanism. Okay. Moving on to point number 2. Short form equates to discovery. Long form equates to sales machines being built. So this was something which I struggled with in terms of my understanding of and whether or not I really wanted to leverage short form aggressively, because I did so when it first became popular, and then I pivoted away from it and became more dependent on long form, word of mouth and referrals as an acquisition mechanism for my health coaching business. But short form content, Reels, Shorts, TikToks, results in awareness campaigns. They basically are awareness campaigns. They your Tinder profile. What I mean by that specifically is when someone opens Tinder, they either swipe right or left depending whether or not they're interested in a potential partner or a potential date. When someone's consuming short form content, they're basically doing the same thing. They're going to continue to go down the short form doom scroll until they see something of interest, whether that be a health offer, a make money offer, whatever it is. Your objective is to make them aware of your existence via short form as a mechanism. Someone's typical behavior or behavioral pattern, once of course they've seen someone of notoriety or someone they want to consume more content from when they've consumed their short form, is then looking at their YouTube and consuming more long form content. That's a very natural thought process. You like their short form stuff and therefore you most likely want to consume more of their content, and therefore you look to their long form content to see what they've produced, if they can provide more value, etc. And as an individual operating coaching business, this is perfect for nurturing and therefore potentially as a conversion mechanism also, as I expanded upon here. Long form, YouTube, podcasts, lives, let's ignore lives for now, results in, of course, the use of conversion mechanisms or machines. They are conversion machines. It's where people spend time and buy. So throughout the majority of my career, a huge abundance of, if not over half of my customers have come from my long form content. They've searched for health solutions for entrepreneurs and business owners. They've seen my content because I've been very specific in targeting those individuals as a market and providing value to them. And therefore they come on board as a result of a sales call taking place, having never conversed with me previously. I know nothing about that person, but they convert via having been nurtured from my content in which I provided loads of value, and they convert via a sales call. That's my mechanism for conversion right now. Short form feeds long form in terms of audience growth, and long form feeds sales. Make this flow your core funnel. Short form to grab attention, long form to build trust, and then offer, of course, to convert. These are all equally as important, but the top of funnel very much is short form. And I'll refer back to my notes here because these notes are a little bit more lengthy. The notes I uploaded in Skool for my business mentees, I did so in a manner in which I was trying to be extremely concise and very direct to the point. So let's refer back to the notes I took for myself. Short form is the medium/way/content to get people to engage with the long form. Short form gets people into your ecosystem. Long form is and always will be the best medium for conversion due to the length of content produced, resulting in more value being provided. But short form is key to getting people to engage in your long form. Now think about that. How many pieces of short form content would someone have to consume to be nurtured to the same extent had they watched a 2-hour piece of long form content? It'd be hundreds of shorts of yours, right? And that's not realistic. That's why long form is by far the best nurturing mechanism. But again, to acquire their attention, shorts are very much necessary. Shorts are simply awareness campaigns, and that's what paid ads used to be. Short form is now operating the same capacity or has the same utility and the same application to us as online coaches in the space. It's a new discovery mechanism, just like Tinder. You keep swiping until you find someone / a piece of content that catches your eye. Very straightforward premise there, but I really like the comparison with Tinder because it's a really great example here. Okay, moving forward. Point number 3. Social media is now interest media. The goal isn't just to get views, which is a mistake that loads of fitness and health coaches make, and they try to copy gimmicky content or viral content just to get views. Your objective is to get the right views. If your content isn't about what you sell, you'll get reach, you'll acquire eyeballs without the acquisition of clients. Views are just a vanity metric, right? If your market is a niche market like my market, I work specifically in a one-to-one capacity with 6 to 9 figure entrepreneurs. I'm not expecting my videos to get thousands, hundreds of thousands of views. It's not a realistic expectation. My market is a very niche market. I'm not working with general population clients or members of the general population to achieve health outcomes. I'm working with 6 to 9 figure entrepreneurs. Therefore, I'm making content for that market. And if you want to see examples of that, please feel free to check out my Billy Harris Health content on YouTube and also on Instagram as well. And I'll be revamping a few things moving forward also. Make content for your market, not the masses. If there's only 10,000 buyers in your space, do not expect a million views. And it's something which I grappled with and didn't really comprehend until this year, truthfully. And even then, I still run a very successful business. So the point is, you can always make refinements no matter where you're at in your career. And these things are extremely advantageous if you master them from the outset. But I didn't, but I'm now doing so. Today, content is the targeting in the same way that cold ads used to be. The platform will serve your videos to the right people, even if the content is good and relevant. The algorithms are now so good that your use of language, verbiage, indication of the content being applicable to certain audiences or niches, that results in the algorithm serving that content to those people. So for example, this piece of content, individuals consuming this piece of content right now, you guys at home, you're most likely aspiring fitness and health coaches who want to build an online business or are already doing so and are wanting to grow and scale. That's because I'm using language indicative of the fact that this content is applicable to them, and therefore the algorithm will serve it to the right people, provided I package it in a way which is very clear. Okay? This is why my tennis channel blew up also. So if those who don't know, I used to play tennis pretty high level. I'm still obsessed with tennis. I love the sport. And I started posting content on the channel. I've uploaded like 4 videos and my videos are getting like 15,000 views. My short form content gets a couple of million views per short. And again, I focus obsessively on value for a specific audience. You should do the same. I did the same with my hobby. And of course, you guys now need to apply the same thought process to your business. Let's expand the thought process here in more detail. As I said, social media is switching from social media to interest media. That wasn't the case previously, it is now. There's an obsession with getting views. If you're making stuff that's not about the thing you sell, you are getting views from people who are not going to buy your stuff. It's a classic mistake in the fitness space. When I first got into the fitness space, my metric for success was viewership, never acquisition. It was totally backwards because I wanted to build my business. I was optimizing for the wrong thing. There just might not be that many tennis racket stringers. That's a hypothetical example of you servicing those individuals. If you have / run a community for tennis racket stringers and make content to acquire them, don't expect your videos to get hundreds of thousands of views. There aren't hundreds of thousands of racket stringers. The platforms are now so good at knowing what's inside your content that it will serve it to the people you're trying to convert, provided it's good content. You don't need significant reach or viewership to get your ideal clients and your markets to see your content. It will be served to them. Social media has changed drastically from where it was 2 years ago. massively. And we're all seeing that, and people are trying to learn how to navigate that best now. And this being kind of the perfect summary of this. Social media is now scary accurate, and it wasn't previously. Acquire a tiny audience, focus on providing tremendous value to that audience full of your ideal clients, and you will crush it financially. The algorithm change equals content is the targeting. It results in content being targeting. This, in my opinion, is why my tennis channel blew up on IG and YouTube. Okay, point number 4. Let's dive into it. Content strategy, income versus influence. There are 2 types of content strategy: targeted monetization to grow your business, or mosaic personal brands to grow broad reach and influence. I'll use an example. My content that I produce for Billy Harris Health on YouTube is very much targeted monetization. A mosaic personal brand is Alex Hormozi, as an example, right? So let's break Alex's personal brand down. Hormozi's personal brand reflects how he spends his time. 5% is gym content, 5% is weird clothing hacks like what shorts to wear to dinner, stretchy tank tops, all that kind of stuff. 5% is philosophy, the rest is his business and Layla. If you want a personal brand, showcase your real life proportionally. If you want to make money, however, make content only about the problem you solve and who to solve it for, or who you solve it for. There's a difference between the two. My objective is to facilitate targeted monetization. I'm not too concerned about building the biggest personal brand. I want to grow my business. And therefore, I very much hyper-optimize on targeted monetization. But let's say I was pursuing a bigger opportunity vehicle and I wanted to take part ownership in an abundance of health and fitness businesses online and replicate the acquisition.com model just for online fitness and health businesses, then I would need to build a bigger personal brand, right? In order to showcase authority in many ways and in order to nurture individuals more effectively. But I'm not doing that. My offer is Peak Health Systems, a one-to-one service for 6 to 9 figure entrepreneurs. And then I mentor fitness coaches underneath that offer as well. Okay, super straightforward there. Right, point number 5. Who's in the room affects content quality. And this is a key observation, that something that I made a mistake of previously and was a pitfall of mine when working with videographers and not working with the right videographers. Hormozi often gets told he's funnier in person because he doesn't enjoy shooting with others in the room, and he doesn't express his true personality. He's now setting up a solo filming setup because the energy you bring to content is deeply affected by your environment. And he also expanded upon that in more detail by conveying very transparently that the type of content he shoots, where he sits down and speaks directly to a camera, he doesn't actually enjoy. And oftentimes he's quite pissed off at the prospect of recording. Hence his kind of aggressive, abrupt persona online in many ways, compounded by the fact he's a jacked dude, right? He's an intimidating character physically. So it compounds that for sure. But he's definitely, you can tell in content where he's engaging in direct conversation with the likes of Sam, Nick on stage, for example, from the video. He opens up much more. He's much more funny, laid back, chilled, not as aggressive in his persona nor in his tone of voice per se. Sam Ovens shoots all of his content at his desk, and that's because that's where he feels at home. So again, a mistake that I see lots of aspiring and existing fitness online coaches make is they try to have the perfect content set up for content, right? Whether it be short form or long form, and they shoot in a weird environment, like they set a new tripod up in their kitchen, perfect lighting, whatever it is. But it's not an environment they're used to shooting in, and therefore they feel uncomfortable, a bit awkward, and the content's a bit crap, right? They don't express themselves particularly well. That's why I personally shoot these videos at my desk where I spend 8 hours a day. I feel really comfortable here. I take calls all day. I live here, right? So yeah, it's a case of also shooting content in a natural environment to you because it'll be the best content, and therefore you can produce your most authentic, transparent content possible. And therefore you'll facilitate acquisition because, again, the audience right now in the current social media landscape is craving authenticity and true character and personality. The lesson here really is your filming setup matters. Create a process that works for you, not for someone else's aesthetic. Very, very important to note. And also shoot a medium of content that you actually enjoy. And therefore I'll expand upon this here with Alex. Yeah, here we go. Cool. This expands upon creator burnout, and this comes into the next point. So I'll summarize it here from Alex, and I'll, of course, go back to what I recapped in Skool quickly. Creator burnout is real, and this pertains specifically to the type of content you shoot and whether or not it's a piece of content that you actually truly enjoy or are uploading it for the sake of doing so to acquire viewership. Alex expressed very candidly, he's yet to meet someone who's really succeeded with content like Mr. Beast. He's very close to Mr. Beast, clearly. He still loves it. They start creating content out of passion, get better at it, study it, increase content production volume, hire people, and all of a sudden it feels like it sucks a little bit. Give yourself permission to create the content you enjoy as opposed to optimizing for performance. Change whatever the fuck, whenever the fuck you want to change it. And I love that so much because I personally fell victim to a trap of uploading content similar to that of other individuals previously, and therefore didn't feel like I was actually presenting myself particularly well and was somewhat robotic in terms of those mediums specifically. But in reality, I like shooting content like this, and my clients are much more receptive to content like this because I'm actually conveying myself in an authentic capacity and really showing my depth of understanding of the topic matters I create content on, because I'm obsessed with my work, right? And therefore, if I'm not creating scripted content and I'm free flowing, it's very clear that I love my work and I know a lot about these topic matters because I'm obsessed about them, right? Post book launch, Alex will be making lots of changes to his content. He doesn't want to be alone on camera anymore. He hates it, but can do it and will do it because of his high pain tolerance, but will change his approach moving forward in order to ensure his better receptiveness from his audience. You making content the way you want to make content will attract only the people that like that type of content, which might be the audience you want. The key in content might be actually uploading the content you want to upload rather than the content you see other individuals uploading, which does well. There's no need to always copy other individuals, okay? And again, I highlighted here in Skool for my mentees, you must give yourself permission to create the way you want, change your style when you feel like it, keep it enjoyable, even if that sacrifices some performance. Really important. I've been in the space now. I first started uploading content on Instagram and YouTube when I was 16, and I'm now 27. Had I fallen down the rabbit hole of creative burnout, I wouldn't have the career that I have. And I haven't fallen down that rabbit hole or been victim of that specifically because I chose not to adopt the approach that other individuals had done so with their content because it didn't feel natural to me and authentic to me, and therefore wouldn't lead to much benefit for my business. Okay, I always get asked this question, and it was really interesting that Alex and Sam raised it as a point. How will AI impact online coaching businesses? AI is advancing, but people are craving real, honest, imperfect humans more than ever as a byproduct of extreme automations, AI content, etc. People are craving authenticity now more than ever. Content that's raw, real, and transparent will dominate the marketplace. The need for human connections is still very prevalent, and if anything, will be experienced even more than ever. And as a byproduct, leaning into this is something which will be integral to our success moving forward. YouTube is even making a stand here. They're even demonetizing AI content because it kills the platform's soul and also rids opportunity and negates opportunity for human creators, right? If AI channels start to pop off, there'll be less of a demand for human creators, and therefore they're demonetizing AI channels. In this world, connection and community becomes competitive advantages. That's why Hormozi is so bullish on Skool, and that's why I personally am too for my lower ticket products, not my high ticket stuff. My high ticket products, I may leverage Skool, and I'll talk about how I will do so. I believe it was like 0.14 that I uploaded here. But yeah, AI isn't a threat. AI is a tool we can leverage as humans, and it's becoming more advanced continuously, but that means our ability to leverage it becomes better, and therefore our business output and performance will increase substantially also, which is great. The game of business will never change, right? We need to provide service to receive income, essentially, in a service-based business. It's very straightforward. It's simply a game of humans and their tools, AI being the tool, and our tools are becoming more advanced. We're going to use the best tools possible to be more efficient. That's the only change we'll see with the development of new AI specifically. And therefore, don't be concerned by the use of AI. I have clients all the time that use AI for blood test analysis, etc. And by no means can they necessarily interpret its inputs or outputs. And nor can they apply that to the full context of their health. So again, as a health operator, it's not a concern. It's something which we should leverage to our benefit rather than perceiving it to be a threat. Ads. Point number 8, content plus retargeting. Running ads is no longer about fishing in cold water. It's now about reactivating people who already know you. Your warm audience is 10 times bigger than you think, and ads can bring them back. And what I mean by that specifically is, let's say your active audience right now is, in terms of content, is much smaller than it used to be, right? On YouTube, Instagram, whatever it may be. There'll be 10 times, if not 20 times, 30 times more people who have at some point in their lives consumed your content. And the use of ads here can reactivate them and bring them back into your ecosystem. And that's how you should be leveraging retargeting ads. Content is the foundation. Retargeting is to reignite the engagement of previous content consumers of yours who could potentially be prospects and potential customers of yours as well. Very straightforward here. So yeah, I made the point here. Running ads should now be utilized essentially just for retargeting purposes. We/you most likely have 10x the amount of people who are actively consuming your content today, having consumed your content at some point in your career. Therefore, you want to reactivate them with ads. Bringing them back into your content ecosystem and allowing them to reach every person who's ever been interested in your content is your key objective here with the use of ads. Ads that approximate content are the best performing ads at this exact moment in time. Top performing content plus CTA for the product/offer crushes, and you need to find the top 1% of your content and utilize it for ad creatives. So I see lots of people who are starting out in the space question what ad creatives to leverage for retargeting purposes or even cold traffic purposes. And the best performing ads right now are essentially repurposed pieces of organic content that perform very well. So you'll see when Alex Hormozi's book launch, he's uploaded hundreds of pieces of different media for content for ad purposes, and the best performing ones are pieces of content of his that perform well organically. He's just now repackaged it with a different CTA and a different hook for his book launch. Very straightforward. Top performing ad strategy. Finding your top 1% of performing content, run it as an ad, and then add a CTA to your offer. No need to reinvent the wheel, just resurface your best work or repackage it essentially. Okay, now this is a really interesting point from Alex, and it's something which I hadn't really considered, and I think is really fascinating. We need to leverage trial reels to grow effectively with short form content on Instagram as a platform. Trial reels on Instagram are pushed only to new people. They're not pushed to your existing audience, and therefore you can determine the actual legitimacy of your content in terms of its ability to perform by leveraging trial reels, because this content isn't being driven to or published to your existing audience. So you can see whether or not it actually performs well for cold markets, cold audiences, which is great. And therefore gives you an opportunity to test what will perform well to acquire more audience or a bigger audience size and pool, which is awesome. Use trial reels to test hooks and acquire new followers. They don't get shown to your current audience, so no risk of algorithm change, nor, again, a negative perception of your content from your existing audience. It's a free shot at testing what content works extremely well. Observation number 10. You can't out-media buy a bad creative. Media buyers used to be magicians, or at least they were positioned to be magicians by individuals running marketing agencies and selling SMMA as a opportunity vehicle. Now, content is king. Bad content results in bad results for ad performances, no matter the budget. So the point here really is your creative for your ads is the key to its success, is key to ad success. It's not going to be the media buying specifically. These platforms, Meta specifically, is so unbelievably good at targeting the audience you're wanting to convert. Provided the creative is good, it will spend your money. If the creative isn't good, no matter how much money you have to spend, let's say it's £100,000, it will spend £1,000 of that because no one's engaging well with the ad creative, and that diminishes or results in negative perception of Meta as a platform. So it won't spend your money. It's really straightforward. You cannot out-media buy a bad creative. Super simple. The only way to win is great content, great message, native platform delivery, and then the use of a CTA where appropriate. Okay. Observation number 11. Operate from a place of proof, not promise. That wasn't the case previously. People used to operate from a place of promise, stand in front of a Lamborghini, which wasn't even theirs, it was leased or rented, and then promise something, right? Your objective now is very much to operate from a place of proof. Like I did so in the introduction of this video, I gave you guys reason to actually pay attention to me in terms of my business success and credibility, as opposed to individuals who are competing with me in terms of this offer specifically, who have no credibility and do not operate an online health and fitness coaching business and are chatting shit. I get quite passionate about that because I've spent about £150,000 of my own money on my education, and I've invested in many shit products for mentors who have no idea what they're talking about and aren't actually in the trenches. They've stopped running their online fitness and health coaching businesses because they never made any money with them. It's bullshit. But the point here really is you need to lead with proof. So the proof you can leverage for your health business and your fitness business is who you've worked with, if you worked with people of notoriety, what results you produced, if of course you're working with general population, and why your offer is irrefutable. If you accompany that with natural, authentic content, which is charismatic, you will have huge success with your content. And again, I use the example here of the irrefutable proof I've leveraged for this channel, specifically for my peak business mentorship. I've worked with over 700 6-9-figure entrepreneurs, including the likes of Iman Gadzhi, Ryan Clogg, Cole Gordon, Marcos Rossetti, for my health optimization service. I charge $15K for my first 12 weeks of service. My client LTV now is $25K plus. You can see this in real time, in real action, with Ryan Clogg's content, who is a former client of mine for Peak Health. Ryan's done over 75 million in sales from his online coaching business he co-founded. And he makes it very clear that that is the case in the introduction of a video he uploads, and that gives you a reason to actually stick around and pay attention to the video. So yeah, really, really key there. Okay, I appreciate there's a lot here, but again, I want this video to be as valuable as possible for you guys. Observation number 12, focus on what moves the needle. And this is from Hormozi specifically. And it's just so obvious, but it's not, the most obvious things are the most important things. They don't need to be particularly complex for them to be valuable. Most entrepreneurs need to be 10x more efficient. Ask yourself daily, what can I eliminate? What few actions actually drive results? And this also goes back to the video that I uploaded yesterday about how I manage my time on a daily and weekly basis and what I prioritize in my business. Okay, you can watch that. It's my most recent upload before this one. Your work schedule as an online fitness and health coach should default to creating content, talking to prospects, serving clients, running ads. Everything else in this space is noise, apart from offer refinement, right? And offer iteration comes by working with clients directly, getting their feedback, and also seeing how the market responds to your offer when presented to a cold audience. Extremely straightforward. Now let's dive into a few observations from Nick Saraev's success. And obviously he does $330,000 a month from Skool right now. And he is right now the Skool GOAT. He is the leader in Skool in terms of the individual making the most money from Skool as a platform. So let's dive into it. I've been observing Nick from afar for ages and kind of reverse engineering what he's done to facilitate such a degree of success. And it's awesome, but it's extremely straightforward and not particularly complex. So let's make it happen. Okay, so his success, he posts 30 to 60 minute YouTube videos every 24 to 48 hours, and YouTube is his primary acquisition method or nurturing mechanism. He also posts short form content on YouTube and on Instagram, and then as a nurturing mechanism, he leverages long form. The top link in every video of his on YouTube is his Skool About page. So if I go to his channel now, you will see the top link in all of his video descriptions is just his About page in Skool. There's no complex funnel. There's no crazy nurturing sequence or anything like this. If someone is interested in working with him and enrolling in his product, they click this link. They get taken to an About page and they convert. And his conversion rate, I believe, was about 3%. But given the amount of eyeballs he has on his offer, he's made a ton of money. Super straightforward, right? He uses minimal CTAs, just valuable content at high volume. And Alex had a slightly different opinion on this. He encouraged Nick to leverage CTAs because he's providing so much value in his content, long form and short form, every single day, or at least every 48 hours, that the dropping of a CTA is perfectly in proportion to the amount of value he provides. He provides 10x more value than he does CTAs, right? So use of CTAs is very much appropriate here. So let's just refer back to my notes here because I expanded upon this in a lot of depth on my notes section. So Nick's funnel is YouTube content driving traffic directly to a Skool About page and short form like Instagram as well. The About page is the first link in his description. Placing links gets a disproportionate amount of clicks if it's the first link in your description. He's currently doing $330,000 a month. He does very minimal, if any, CTAs in his content. He records and uploads 36-minute blah, blah, blah. We said that already. He's only been uploading for the last 18 months. And he's fast-tracked his career to the extent where he's making generational wealth by uploading 24 to 48 hours within windows, right? He's uploaded so much more content than most other people who upload once or twice per week that he's 10 times further ahead. So you can fast-track your growth. You just have to be aggressive with your output. If he compares the production quality and output of others, it couldn't be more clear that what he wanted to scale with pace. You will also, of course, get much better at content production by adopting this approach of high volume and frequent uploads, which will result in the quality also increasing, thus increasing your audience size and scale. So on Peak Business Systems or Billy Harris Business, I upload almost every day. That's because I like this medium of content. It's very easy for me to record. It's very natural. I'm documenting what I do with my own health business day to day as I'm doing it. And yeah, I'll get better at content as a byproduct, particularly in terms of how I package it, my thumbnails and titles. The actual approach to recording is pretty straightforward. Regarding CTAs, I'll personally utilize them as long as I maintain the ratio of ensuring the majority, if not nearly all of the video is valuable. That's my thought process on the use of CTAs and how to leverage direct response as an approach for conversion. Very straightforward. Instagram versus YouTube CTA mechanics. So this is how he leverages both platforms in a different way to facilitate acquisition. His Instagram CTA, which is either in the description of his videos or the caption of his videos on Instagram, is most oftentimes drop a comment and there'll be a particular word he's asking the prospect or consumer of his content to drop. That drives him through to ManyChat automation, which then sends him through to a lead magnet, a DM conversation with setter, or conversion directly through the About page in Skool. YouTube is different as a nurturing mechanism. He uses the first link in his description to drive traffic to his Skool About page. There's no use of ManyChat, no DM setting, no sales calls. It's just a Skool About page and it converts unbelievably well. So again, his funnel and his coaching product everything is hosted on Skool. He only has 2 products. There's no one-to-one service or anything like this. It's just Skool. Social content, driving traffic to a Skool About page, and then the customer joins. Extremely, extremely straightforward, right? Nick started posting short-form content on Instagram about 3 to 4 months ago, and you'll see it's very different to his long-form content. It's hyper-produced. There's not a huge amount of character and personality conveyed in the short-form content. It's very different, but it's resulted in him acquiring 300,000 followers. And again, it's not nurturing content, it's top-of-funnel awareness content. That's why it's different. It works reasonably well, but his long-form content puts the food on the table and makes majority of his 330,000 a month revenue. In terms of Nick's priorities, Nick prioritized content production, then started prioritizing content packaging and performance. And this goes back to the question I get asked all the time by my mentees of how many times should I upload per week and how should I optimize for quality in that ratio, right? Nick's initial goal and primary goal was to ensure that the distance between him and his potential customers was eliminated by uploading extremely frequently. He then pushed for optimization of packaging, thumbnails, editing, etc. His prime directive is maximizing how much content he has out there, and the second directive is optimizing how it's packaged. And I very much adopt that approach, and I think it makes perfect sense for facilitating growth of any online coaching business also. Okay, also to facilitate viewership, and this is something which most individuals just gloss over, which is so mental, but it's so important. You must focus on being good at the thing you talk about in your career, right? Otherwise, you will never acquire viewership. You'll never acquire clients. So many people look for tax and new mechanisms and shiny objects to facilitate growth and acquisition. You got to be good at what you're talking about and the thing you do, right? Otherwise, no one's going to pay any attention to the content you upload. Why would they? You'll never acquire an audience. You'll never sell a product. Super straightforward. Make people aware of it by producing significant volume of content. Make more people aware of it by packaging it nicely. Super straightforward. Then add hooks and CTAs. The most important thing, the reason people will watch your content and become prospects is because you're good at the thing you're creating content about. So I'm good at building an online health and fitness coaching business. I've done so for years. I'm good at helping 6-9-figure entrepreneurs optimize their health and performance. That's why I have relevance in the space and status in the space and therefore acquire clients. Super straightforward. Okay, he made a few points. So let's dive into the 3 final points here in quick succession. Community equals retention. You being active inside your school massively reduces churn. Now, the reason why I made this point was because I leverage Skool, low ticket Skool, as an offer in my product suite for peak health as well. So yes, my one-to-one service is $15,000 for 12 weeks, pounds, but I also have a low ticket $150 a month subscription for individuals who are mass market, who simply want to convert and gain advice from me, essentially. So I want to reduce churn for that capacity as well, but this also applies well in terms of direct lessons for your one-to-one service. The same goes for your one-to-one clients. I speak to most of my clients on a daily basis via WhatsApp, unless they're in a high pressure phase and prefer less communication. So my clients run 6-9-figure businesses. If they're extremely busy, I'll ask them during a call with them, which I conduct on a weekly basis, is my frequency of engaging with you on WhatsApp too frequent, right? What's better suited for you? What works best for you? And I'll then dial it back. But most clients are very receptive to daily engagement. And as a result, my LTV now is £25,000 per client on average. So again, my lifespan of working with clients is really good. And I get great testimonials from that phase of delivery as well. You guys can see that from my Billy Harris health channel. Communication cadence is tailored but frequent. Relevant engagement results in long-term retention and increased LTV. Super straightforward. Okay, this is a really cool mechanism here for price increasing reduced churn, which I thought was really fascinating. I've not seen anyone else do it, but I've deployed it straight away. Nick shows the current Skool price on his About page. So as you guys can see here, he refers to Make a Skool being $184 a month, and then his more high-ticket product being, I think, like $364 a month or something like that. And the reason why he does that is because individuals who enrolled when the price was cheaper, who are still paying the cheaper price, that discourages them from churning, because rejoining will result in them paying more expensive cost than what they pay right now. I'm thinking about how you can potentially deploy this to your one-to-one model. It's interesting. I'm going to map it out a little bit and I'll expand upon that in perhaps future videos, but there's definitely things you could consider here. But in order to do so, you must disclose your price publicly to facilitate interest in your offer. I don't necessarily think that works particularly well for the 12-week delivery model, but I do think it does work well for a downsell, which I may deploy myself. So right now I charge £15,000 for 12 weeks for my initial product, and then I charge $5,000 per month on top of that if they want to work with me longer term. For individuals that I've then maximized delivery for, beyond those phases, I think I could leverage a downsell in which essentially I take those one-to-one clients and put them into a subscription-based Skool offer where they pay, let's say hypothetically, £1,000 a month. I've not determined the price yet. And for that, they receive set deliverables, which are less time intensive on my part. So it could be quarterly blood work, which I organise and pay for on their behalf. It could be access to me via WhatsApp and Loom and Skool, of course, but no calls. It could be assignment of training programs and updates on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis, nutrition protocols, supplement protocols, etc. Essentially an extension of our work together in the same way that a functional doctor is paid in the US specifically, retainers to work with their clients. Hence the model of medical centers and facilities being extremely profitable for operators of those. I want to replicate that in some capacity as a downsell for the one-to-one service I currently leverage and operate. I think it could be really interesting. So as you guys can see here, I refer to it. I think it's created an awesome community of 6-9 figure entrepreneurs, which my clients would love to be part of. Because again, it's a really exclusive group of people that I work with. And they want to be in touch with one another, in contact with one another, building relationships with one another. And they ask me to introduce them to each other all the time. I would operate in a similar capacity to a functional doctor. And this would be a very easy way to sell my offer to even prior and previously fulfilled clients. So I've got over 700 previously fulfilled clients. If I could reignite them with this offer and bank an extra 50k per month, gorgeous. I'm loving life there. I currently charge 5k per month for continued monthly services beyond the first 12 weeks, but this offer is a subscription offer with different deliverables / no calls, just message and Loom support, in which my clients will also appreciate that because they oftentimes want less direct contact if they're extremely busy or are going through a very busy phase of business. So yeah, that's my summary and analysis of this unbelievable gem of a video from the Skool Mastermind, the Skool Games Mastermind. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're interested in working with me to help you start, grow, and scale your online fitness and health coaching businesses, of course, you can check out the first link in the description to join my school and work with me directly and personally. Until then, enjoy this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Drop any comments you have or any questions down below, and I shall catch you guys in the next one.